and I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. I looked into all of that stuff back in the early 60s, and even then, there's no liquidity in the market for those companies. And some of them are going to go up because people are recommending them. Stay away from them. You're in the largest put it another way. This is the largest bull market in history. There will never, ever be anything like this. Why go off and look at something else when gold and silver fits everything that you need to keep your wealth and at the same time make money? This one here is to Bob and Melody, and this lady, Karen, says that this is her favorite program that I'm on, Melody and I. And she expresses her appreciation. She's heartbroken that H.R. 1207 was ruined, and she's angry about how stupid Americans are. And the worst-case scenario, 2 questions. How soon do you think the revolution will start via gunshots, and how severe do you think the economy and political corruption will have to be before the gunshots are fired? 2011 or sooner? If I had to guess, I would say 2013. It's a ways away yet. It all depends particularly on the unemployment. You get up over to 35%, which could happen in the next couple of years, which would bring it back to 2011. Then you have the slowdown in the economy. You have food shortages. You have banks continuing to throw people out of their homes. The repo man has more work that he can handle, and the repo man may not exist anymore because people will be in a position where anybody comes after their car or truck, they're going to shoot them. And so it'll take a little bit longer, but it's coming. How bad do you think it will get in the District of Columbia with revolution and riots, whether or not Congress is in session? It'll be a zoo. Very, very, very bad. The crime rate in that particular city is astronomical. And that kind of a city could see a major, quick extension of violence. I have one more. You go ahead.
Oh, okay. And really, I mean, the ideal thing is to get this thing changed without any type of situation.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen. They're not going to let it pass.
But I think people will react to, I think people will react to other situations before they actually strike out for their freedoms. Of course, everybody's freedom.
Well, tell me that they'll demonstrate in tea parties and things like that, but they're circular. They're not going anywhere.
No, there's no organization. Everybody.
But even if they had an organization, strong, and they were here, there, and everywhere, 2 million every week in Washington, the people in Washington and New York City don't care.
They don't.
You're human cattle. You're sheep. That's all they think you are. And people over 60 should be euthanized. Great. Isn't that wonderful? I've got one here that addresses the golden teen. Was that you?
Teen?
T-E-E-N.
Well, I could be.
Says the golden teen and the old man of the sea. And this is from Emos, and he says, you're talking about renting as opposed to buying a home, but you were talking way out of the level that I live in. Let me tell you some of the advantages I see at my level. I own my property. I can garden, store, bury, hide, set up solar, be away from the trouble out in the country, and hunt if I need to. and not pay rent. Now, my wife and I both received disability for degenerative spine disease at 57 and 56 years young, and have been laid off from my job, and I'm not like to get back to one. Where they're living on a $2,000 a month fixed income. The only way I can make it is to cut all unnecessary bills. Rent is our largest expenditure. How can he have rent if he owns his property? And put back as much gold as we can afford. We may make it through the hyperinflation. However, I understand we will have to wait to buy a home in the country, which is a kink in my plan. And he goes on to show how he breaks down what he's spending. There's a lot of people, maybe 30-40% of the population's in that category. And quite frankly, they're lucky to have $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
And what happens if Social Security and disability ends? Good question.
Here's a question there. It's a little off the topic. It's Israelis military says it has intercepted a ship carrying hundreds of tons of Iranian weapons bound for Hezbollah. Isn't that an act of war?
No. No, I don't think so. I think, the Israelis get weapons every day from the United States, and they're not attacking anybody, at least not now. So how can they call it an act of war? That's stupid. They ought to know better than that. Find some better propaganda, Israel. That's dumb.
According to the BBC, General Motors has confirmed that it plans to cut 10,000 jobs across its European car unit, Opel, which includes the Vauxhall brand in the UK. I guess the depression is not over, and that's from Ivan.
No, it's not. It's only really getting rolling. It's the beginning of the beginning. We've got a long way to go. I mean, this thing's going to last. Let's say we don't have a third world war. It'll last 20 or 30 years. I mean, this purging of the system has to be worked out. It's simple. And they haven't even begun to do it. I mean, all they've done is collateralize debt obligations. The government's broke. The banks in Wall Street are broke. I mean, there are solvent banks, maybe half of them. Brokerage firms, maybe half of them. Insurance companies, maybe half of them. But the point is that there's a lot that are not solvent. And that has to be purged from the system. Not socialized and paid for by the American taxpayer in amounts that can never be repaid. And here, every week they get, well, at least every week or two, they have gigantic auctions. And how much is being monetized? That means bought directly or indirectly by the Fed in money that is created out of thin air and very inflationary. We don't know. You want to guess? Probably 35-40%, maybe as high as 50%. So there's no end in sight.
This question's in from Matt. He was listening to an interview with Catherine Austin Fitz the other day, and she sounds like a pretty smart gal, repeating many of your views.
Incidentally, she's a subscriber.
However, her resume reads like a globalist insider. Whose team is she on, and is she to be trusted?
As far as I know, yes. I've known her for maybe 11 years, and she is a straight shooter as far as I know. And she, look, I was in the system. I was a stockbroker and the owner of a stock brokerage firm for 28 years. I didn't get infected. I didn't join the enemy. I did gold and silver shares. They thought I was nuts. I ended up making a lot more money than they did, honestly. But I think she's a good person. She's very bright.